This video is made possible by North Naperville Autos. If you're looking for a quality used car in the Chicagoland area, North Naperville Autos is here to help. Browse their inventory at northnapervilleautos.com and drive home in a new vehicle today. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2012 Hyundai Veloster. Up front is a 1.6 liter inline 4 and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Veloster for two main reasons. First of all, I've never actually reviewed a Veloster here on the channel. A close friend of mine has a turbo Veloster and I've driven that around the neighborhood and here and there, but I've never actually filmed one here on the channel, so I'm super excited to do so. The second reason I'm super excited is because it's manual. This is a 6-speed manual Veloster, so let's see how a manual Hyundai does. Let's get back to that 1.6 liter up front. I'll put the horsepower and torque up on the screen, as well as I will put the fuel economy now on the screen if you're interested in the numbers. 1.6 liters is slightly small for a vehicle like this. I always think it's like a Fiesta motor or a Miata motor in terms of displacement. And the power is right about there, 130 some odd horsepower. And so it's not going to blow the doors off of anything. It's not going to be a drag racer car. It's not going to be this crazy, insane street car. However, there is a turbo version offered here in the Veloster if that's something you'd want to seek out, but this is just the naturally aspirated one. All right, 1.6 liter. Yeah, it's not fast by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, paired to it, 6-speed manual transmission. And first of all, I like the fact that it's a manual. I enjoy driving stick shift cars. They're more engaging to me and they're just more fun. However, I do have some gripes with this manual transmission. First of all is that everything feels light. It's super easy to actually move the shifter into gear, and the clutch pedal is very, very light. But like I said, it's almost too light. It's almost too easy that it doesn't feel like it's connected to anything. Am I hitting a clutch pedal or am I just kind of waving my foot in the air? I don't really know. So this is very much an economy-based transmission. This has a manual transmission to save money and to be light and to be inexpensive to manufacture. Automatic transmissions, even though they've been around for decades and decades, are still more expensive to create than a typical manual transmission. There's a lot more moving parts that go into an automatic than a manual, so it just ends up being more expensive. So this is not a very sporty transmission. It's not a very sporty car. So if you're looking for something that is going to be super sporty, I'd highly recommend the Fiesta ST in this price point. Last but not least, of course, the Veloster is front wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. We have a couple interesting things to talk about in here. Well, first of all, I have two very recessed gauges up in front of me. On the left is my tachometer and on the right is my speedometer, as well as I do get a nice digital information gauge in the center, giving me my odometer, coolant temperature, fuel, and trip odometers. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my mode button, volume button, skip track, and phone options, and on the right I have my cruise control options, as well as controls for my trip odometer in the gauge cluster. The steering wheel does feel pretty basic, however this is a base model Veloster, so I can't really knock it too hard for that. To the left of me I do have an air vent as well as my gauge dimmer switch, and on the door I have my power mirrors, which are way up high, and then down low I have my power locks, child locks, and my power windows. You'll notice here that there's only 3 switches. We'll talk about that in a second. Moving into the center, I do have a touchscreen display, which is very nice. One, especially for a base model, but two, for being a 2012 model. So I can go to Eco Coach here. It'll tell me my miles per gallon, Eco Rewards, tell me how well I'm doing. As well as software info, Blue Max, which is like a game, I guess. It's showing me my speed and points and my top score, my high score, time, reset. This is very, very weird. It's kind of like a video game for driving. And I guess it hurts my score for driving the car harder. So this will actually become a game to get me to drive my car more economically. Very, very interesting here. Just one of the quirks of the Veloster. One thing that this car does not have that I really wish it did is a backup camera. The 2012 Veloster base does not come with a backup camera, which I would have liked because it is this sort of hatchback style, and it's a little bit harder to see out of the back, so I would have liked a backup camera, but it's not the end of the world. Down below that, I have my heating and cooling controls. So on the left is where to send it, on the right is also where to send it, and I have temperature and fan speed in the center on what looks like the same dial, but it's actually two different dials. Very, very strange. Very strange indeed. Again, another weird quirk of the Veloster. This car is very, very weird. Down at the bottom, it says Veloster on the radio for a reason, I guess. I don't know. At the very bottom, I get two 12-volt outlets and an aux as well as USB input, which is really, really nice. Then we move down to the shifter itself. Like I said, it feels very numb, feels very light. However, I like the look of it. I think it looks very presentable, and this does not look base model. This actually looks slightly premium, or at least slightly nicer than what I'm used to seeing in other base model cars. Old base model Hondas of the 90s, they gave you essentially a rubber ball where someone crudely carved numbers into. But this actually looks presentable, it looks nice, and it being a 6-speed, this makes me feel a little bit special. Moving on, below the shifter, we have our cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and unfortunately, the Veloster fails. I didn't really expect it to pass. Most cars in this segment, if not all cars in this segment, actually fail the big friggin' bottle test, so that's not really a surprise. Moving on to the seats. Now, the seats are this very basic cloth feeling. It's the same you would get in any other base model Hyundai. However, they do actually have decently high bolsters on the sides. It really keeps you in place. It offers a very sporty feel. While this car might not drive super sporty, the seats definitely feel sporty. However, they're still big guy friendly. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review and talk about some quirkiness back there. All right, so we're in the back of the 2012 Hyundai Veloster. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that every single backseat review, I always sit behind the driver's seat because it's just easier to shoot it that way, blah, 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 whatever. But now I'm on this side. Zach, why is that? Well, this is the only side of the Veloster in the back that has a door. Yes, you heard me correctly. This side, the side that I'm sitting on, has a door. That side does not have a door. So, like I mentioned earlier, that I only have 3 window switches up front. That's for the 2 front doors and this one here back door. This side doesn't have a roll-downable window. It's a completely different shape. This car is asymmetrical, which is so hard to find in cars nowadays. Back in the 90s, it was pretty typical to have just a door on this side for like minivans, for loading and stuff. Is kind of a safety thing, kind of a rigidity thing. But this, I mean, all hatchbacks have 4 doors. This is technically a 4-door because of the hatch, where hatchbacks are normally considered a 5-door. It's just so strange and so weird. So if you want to sit behind the driver, you have to get in from here and scoot over like you're in a booth in a diner, which is just the most awkward thing, where you're like, oh, hey, and then you're like, and you kind of bounce along in the seat. I don't know, maybe I only experienced that, but very, very strange. Let's get to the actual back seat itself. My head is pretty much in the hatch and it fits, but if I move my head forward, I start to hit the ceiling. I'm 5'11". I do have a power window over here. Not over there, but over here I do. And I do sort of get a center console. It's down here. I do have a cup holder and little cubby that's actually built in, so this is technically a 2+2. You can't seat 3 people back here, only 2, which is kind of interesting. Now we'll go take a look at the hatch, and yeah, it's just weird. Now taking a look at the trunk of the 2012 Hyundai Veloster base, and there's nothing really too crazy back here. I do get a privacy cover, and I get some decent space, but it's nothing really too crazy. The nice thing is that the second row of seats do fold down, so it actually offers a lot more space when you do that. You can fit your luggage, Christmas tree, whatever it is, you can fit it in the back here, which is pretty nice. Now we got to talk about the looks. I think the Veloster, at least this first generation, like I keep saying, this is the very first year of the Veloster, 2012, and so I think back then it was very odd looking. Kia was sort of known for the Kia Soul at this point, but Hyundai didn't really make weird cars. It was the upscale version of Kia, and they made just that, upscale versions of Kias. But this is something different. This doesn't have a Kia equivalent, and it looks quite strange. Like we mentioned in the back seat, this only has 3 doors. It's weird looking, it's aggressive, but it's also soft. It's like a jelly bean. You know what this car is? Have you ever played the game Bean Boozled? It's by Jelly Belly, and they make this game where you get a package of Jelly Belly jelly beans and 2 flavors have the same color, and it's a good flavor and a bad flavor, and you never know what you're gonna get. That's how I feel about this car. It looks one way, it drives another. You feel sitting in it like it should be sporty. It doesn't drive like it's sporty. It looks like it should be sporty, but it's not sporty. It has the infotainment of an economy car. It's just all odd and different and weird, and that's my final thoughts here on the Veloster. Let's get into it. This car is weird. This car is strange. This car does things that other cars do not do. Exhibit A, the doors. There's only 3 of them. And windows, there's only 3. The car has a video game to make you drive more economically. It has a stick shift, but it's super numb. It looks weird. Veloster. It's a weird name. This car is just weird. It is strange. I think Hyundai did a good job of shaking up the market, offering something new, different, and unique, just like what they did with the Kia Soul. And honestly, I think this makes a fantastic first car if you want to learn how to drive manual. It's pretty forgiving, it's easy to shift, and while you don't get a whole lot of feedback in the pedal, you'll learn the basics of driving stick shift. You'll get it down. This will be a fun little college car to toss around. You could tell people you drive a manual. You can get these very inexpensively, and the 1.6 liter sips on gas. As a first car, this is great. It's good, and I think really as time goes on, this is going to be sort of the 90s Civic of the next generation. However, if you want a car that's going to be very quick, easily customizable, and have a lot of back-end support, I would highly recommend looking elsewhere. And so, there it is. This quirky, weird car that really made a statement back in 2012 is really going to make a statement 10 years from now as a good quality used car. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their Veloster. This is one of their used vehicles for sale right now. They do offer financing. Go to their website, northnapervilleautos.com. Their information is up on the screen, as well as linked in the description below. You will not regret it. If you're looking for a used car in the Chicagoland area, North Naperville Autos has you covered. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.